We took off from the crossroads at Macedonia, Georgia, about 7:45 in the morning, headed for Highlands, North Carolina. It had rained earlier and the clouds were still pretty heavy up in the northern sky. But we made it to Dahlonega without getting wet. The road north of Dahlonega was open and we began to enjoy a free ride up the twisties until we came to a slowdown. There were a few cruisers and a trike in front of us, but the real holdup was the airstream that you can see way up ahead. Soon we were on the road up Blood Mountain. We stopped at Neal's Gap to take a break and to put some rain gear on, more to fight off the chill than anything else. After the break, we came down the hill and headed east over to 75. Clouds were still pretty heavy off to the north, but we soldiered on. You can see it had rained just before we arrived at this area. We picked up a few raindrops here and there. As you can see, some of them got on the camera lens. These clouds are starting to look a little menacing, and we're heading pretty much straight into them. By the time we stopped in Clayton for some gas, the sun was peeking through, so the prospects were looking pretty good. Once out on War Woman Road, the sun was shining in spots here and there. As you can see, the shadows on the road, we're pretty happy to see that. The eastern end of War Woman Road makes for a nice ride. Here we're entering Highlands, North Carolina. This is kind of a touristy town, and we didn't stop in the town at all, but headed straight through to get over to Buck Creek Road. Buck Creek Road is a windy country road that takes you to the lower part of the gorge. It eliminates having to travel down the right side of the road when the river's on the left, and lets you ride up with the river on right. This road has a couple of decreasing radius right-hand turns that you have to watch out for. They caught a couple of our riders by surprise and didn't have any problem, but it did have an exciting moment now and then. Here we're turning on the road up the gorge. The river's on the right here, easily seen from the motorcycle, but from the camera's perspective, not so clear. You'll see occasional glimpses of it as we move further north. Unfortunately, the camera was off when we hit some of the more dramatic parts of the gorge, but there are a few still pictures that'll give you an idea of what this is like. We made a stop at Bridal Veil Falls, which was in its glory from the recent rains.
Very far back. You, I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, no, and
I gotta shut her down.
I thought I was in the right gear, and I went to, instead of hitting the brake, the throttle down, and it kept on going, and I'm like, oh,
Okay. There's another one that I looked
The
up.
thing about the Dillard house, you'll eat too much.
Yeah, you gotta eat a lot.
The food is great, but
Right.
you will eat too much. Have you ever eat? We went there one time, didn't we?
Yeah, we went up there. Well, we went to the
Yeah.
Buckspot.
Got a little loose on us back there.
I did.
Did you?
Yeah, nearly laid it down on the.
I went around one of those curves and there was a bunch of the tar on
Yeah.
the ground. I hit that and I bumped up like, whoa.
Yeah, there was some interesting pieces of road up there.
Soon we took off again, heading to Highland. We didn't want to head all the way into Highland and get caught up in all the tourist traffic there, so we hung a right as we entered the town and headed for Dillard, Georgia. In case you wondered, this video is being recorded on Dan's Triumph Speedster. The GoPro ran out of battery juice before we even got to Clayton, and I didn't have adequate facility to recharge it, so he did the filming. And apparently my problem in turning off a right-hand turn signal has migrated to his Triumph. This can be a very nice ride over to Dillon, as long as the road is open. It's double yellow lines all the way into town, and if you happen to get behind a slow vehicle, as we did here, you have to have patience. Passing with a 6-bike train is a hazardous thing. In Dillard, we stopped at the Cupboard Cafe. Not a bad place at all. We got a table out on the veranda, had a chance to relax and shoot the breeze before we took off further down the road. The menu is pretty complete, and I think everybody was pretty much satisfied with the food. We could use it again. Heading south towards Clayton, the view of the clouds was magnificent, and it stayed pretty much with us for the rest of the ride. It was dry, it was sunny, and it was beginning to heat up a little bit. We stopped at Cleveland, Georgia to refuel and take a little bit of a break. Here's Larry with his Gay Glow jacket, and Sally's getting rid of the rain gear. It's just getting too hot. Frank on his Harley. Frank always has a good time. Here we're heading further west on Georgia 115. And then finally, just south of Dahlonega, we get on 400, heading down towards Dawsonville. This is the intersection at Dawsonville. And we will cut over some back roads and finally get to the Citgo station that we often meet at. Here, some of the group splits off to take a short route to their home. The rest of us soldier on over to Macedonia, and then Dan heads on south to Town Lake area. It was a great ride. The weather looked foreboding for a while there, but it really turned out to be a glorious day. And I think we'll take this trip again, maybe in the fall, maybe in the spring, but it's too good to let go for too long.